All right. It sounds like the recording has started, so we'll go ahead and start the public meeting. Thanks everybody for being here. My name is Chase McDonald. I'm the Assistant State Engineer over the Adjudication program with the Division of Water Rights. We are here tonight to discuss the list of unclaimed rights for Francis-Woodland subdivision and the Upper Provo River subdivision in the adjudication of the Utah Lake Jordan River. So just to get started, we'll talk about the agenda. So tonight, I'll kind of walk you through the adjudication process, just do a quick overview of that, where we're at in that process, what we still have left to do. I'll talk through what the list of unclaimed rights actually is and what's in the list of unclaimed rights. I'll also talk you through how to access the list of unclaimed rights. I'll give you a rough timeline of what we anticipate with the work we have remaining, and then we'll open it up to questions. I have here on the screen that questions can be emailed to waterrights_adjudication@utah.gov. For this meeting, we have one of our staff monitoring the comments. We are live streaming this, so as you have questions on the live stream, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll answer those as we go. In the room, obviously, if you have a question, just go ahead, raise your hand, and we'll be pretty informal in that regard. And then after the meeting, at any time, if you have questions, you can email waterrights_adjudication. You can email that. That goes directly to me, and we'll get back to you about any questions you have. So the adjudication process, it can be pretty daunting. It's pretty complex. But the joke I like to make every time, don't worry, we're from the government, we're here to help. Everybody kind of gets freaked out when they hear that, but I promise you, we really do want to help you through this process. We understand that it's complex, and we want to help you along and help understand what's happening, and we also need your help to make sure we get it correct and make sure that everybody's included. So there's a lot of stuff up on the screen right now. The good news is some of this stuff has already been completed. So some of this stuff was completed a long time ago, like the initial petition. In January of last year, in January of 2023, we came up and had a public meeting to discuss the commencement of these two adjudication subdivisions. Since then, we sent out the notice to file claims, giving water users 90 days to get their claims in. That was on February 15th of 2023. And then what we did is we took all those claims that came in, we compared them all to the water rights on our records, and most of them come in with water right numbers, but sometimes we receive claims where somebody doesn't know what the water right number is, so we try to match it up to our records as best we can. And then whatever water rights remain that are on our record but we had not received a claim for ends up on this list of unclaimed rights. And so on September 4th of this year, we published that list of unclaimed rights, and now we are in the window for the 90-day objection period. And so essentially what that means is if you all review the list of unclaimed rights, if you look and you see any rights that are on there that you feel like should not be on there, you need to file an objection with the district court and file a water user claim to try to get that water right removed from the list of unclaimed rights. So that's in progress right now, that 90-day objection period. And then that's what brought us here today, that public meeting that's up on the screen. That's tonight. After this meeting tonight and after the objection period, we will do a final summons. So we search all the water right owners of record, we search all the landowners, we search for corporate entities and find registered agents for those. We put all those together in a mailing list, which we've already had a couple mailings, right? But we'll do another final summons to make sure that we have included everybody that we can possibly find, because like I said, we want people involved. We want to get this right. And so we'll do a final summons, and then we will work through any objections on the list of unclaimed rights that we receive. Once all the objections are resolved, we will motion the court for a decree on the list of unclaimed rights. So that's the end of that second phase, that blue phase there. And then currently, right now, even though it's number 11 on here, we are investigating all of those claims that we've received. You may have already been contacted, or you may be contacted in the future if you're a water user. So we come out and do a field review of the claims that we receive. We will investigate all those and put our recommendations in a book called the Proposed Determination, which we will submit to the court. And that is our recommendation, the state engineer's recommendation on the definition of all the water rights in that subdivision. And then there's another objection period. We'll be out here again for a public meeting, and then kind of the same process as the list of unclaimed rights. We will work through any objections received. We'll resolve those and then seek a decree on the proposed determination as well. So that's where we're at and where we're going. Now let's bring it back to why we're here tonight. Let's talk through the list of unclaimed rights. So it's a pretty straightforward document. You've got the title page, notice to water users, the preamble, which just kind of describes general information about the list. It's in there. We're not going to really cover it tonight, but then we'll show you the maps of the locations. We'll talk through any unclaimed rights and show you what that looks like. And then there's an alphabetic index in the back of the list. And just a reminder, it's kind of a unique meeting this time around because we're talking about two different subdivisions. We published two lists of unclaimed rights. We published one for Woodland Francis subdivision and one for the Upper Provo River. Upper Provo River is a little unique because all the claims, all the water rights in that area got claimed. So legally we're required to publish that list of unclaimed rights and submit it to the court along with all the claims that we received. So it's basically just a blank list saying, hey, everything was claimed. But if we look at the title page on the list of unclaimed rights, and because Upper Provo River, everything was claimed, this presentation is more focused on Woodland Francis. But this is what the title page looks like. Up at the top, it'll list the district court, and then it gives a description of the general adjudication, and then maybe the most important part on the title page is the judge and the civil number. That's important because if somebody is going to object to the list of unclaimed rights, that needs to be through the court, and you need to include that civil number. And so then, more information about the hydrologic division and subdivision, and the area number and book number that we have assigned to these books, these subdivisions. So the next page is the notice to water users, and this page is important because it has a lot of the same information up at the top, like the civil number and district court, all that stuff. And then it describes what the list of unclaimed rights is, but probably the most important information to you is this second main paragraph. It includes instructions on how to file an objection to the list of unclaimed rights. And I know it's small words up there, but we'll show you how to access this online as well. But basically, the instructions to file an objection, you need to file it with the 3rd District Court, like I've said, and include the civil number. It needs to be a written objection, and along with that, you need to file a water user claim. And keep in mind, the objection process is meant for a water user to say, hey, this water right is on this list of unclaimed rights. It shouldn't be. I'm using that water, so here's a written objection. Here's my claim to that water. And then you work through that with the district court. The last sentence in this instruction paragraph says that you also need to file that water user claim with the state engineer's office, and it says you should provide a copy of your objection to our office as well. But the important thing is the objection, the written objection, and the water user claim must be filed with the district court. And if you have questions about that, like, we're here to help. I really mean that. You can call us and we can help you through that process. So moving on from that, here's a map of Francis-Woodland, the subdivision of Francis-Woodland. You can see over here on the top left, that's the eastern edge of Jordanelle. So this is just upstream of Jordanelle. And then the upper Provo area is just upstream of that. And again, these slides are online as well. So if there's more that you want to see on this, we can help you find that, and you can look through it as much as you'd like. So the actual list of unclaimed rights, this is how it's presented in the book, each of the rights. So you have the water right number, you have the owner of record, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this because it's important to remember that the state engineer's office, the Division of Water Rights, is not the official office of record for title of water rights. It may seem a little counterintuitive, but it's the county recorder that is the official office of record. So a lot of times, well, I don't know if I want to say a lot of times, but sometimes our records do not reflect the actual owner, because when you purchase something like water rights, you go record the deeds at the county recorder. A lot of people don't provide them to us, so sometimes our records have not been updated. So if you look through this and you see a water right number and you're like, well, I think I own that water right, but my name's not on there, give us a call. We'll help you work through that. And then next to that, it lists the source. So in this case, it's an underground water well, and a description of the point of diversion. So that's really, like I said, it's a pretty basic document, but it just gives an overview. You can use this to get on our website, find out more information about these water rights. Contact us if you're confused. We can help you through it. And then just because I thought it was kind of funny and kind of cool, this is the list of unclaimed rights for Upper Provo River. Like I said, it's just a blank list, which we love to see. We want people to use their water rights. We want these to be claimed. And then just so you don't have to go digging through and try to find a water right number, we also include at the end of the list of unclaimed rights an alphabetic index. So it's sorted alphabetically by the most recent owner that is updated title on our records. And then it'll list the source, the water right number, so name of owner of record, the source, water right number, and what page you can find that on. This list only has 16 rights on it, so it's not too extensive. Excuse me. So accessing the list of unclaimed rights. So we send pretty substantial mailings. We send a lot of mailings out because we want to send notice to every water right owner of record. We send notice to every landowner in the subdivision. And then, like I said, we find corporate entities and find their registered agents. And if anybody has counsel of record, we send notice to them as well, because we want people to be involved. So if you received a mailing, which I'm assuming most of you have, that's what brought you here, it will have information as to how to pull up these lists of unclaimed rights. But there's also, excuse me, those links right there. As it says there, you can come to our office and we can provide hard copies. We just charge for the supplies to provide that. And it's also filed at the district court. It's really my last slide. I'm going to try to get through this and then grab a drink of water. But like I said, we published the list of unclaimed rights, both of them, on September 4th. Right now is the active objection period. That ends on December 3rd. So then we anticipate early 2025, we will conduct that final summons and seek a decree. And then we're hoping by 2026, we will publish the proposed determination. I'm going to put this contact information up here while I grab a drink. Okay, so my information is on there. I also have Chris Stallard, who is one of our adjudication engineering managers, and Amy Flowers, who's here with us as well, one of our team leaders. And so that's my brief presentation. We're happy to answer questions if there's questions online or those in the room. Looks like there's none on there now. We've got one here. Go ahead, sir.
Can you go back to the slide?
Yeah.
That page right there is not, that list of unclaimed rights is not on my letter. And on both Francis-Woodland and Provo, I'm assuming you're saying upper Provo would be Bench Creek up to probably Intel from the map we looked at. Does that include Bench Creek?
Off the top of my head, I don't. Amy, do you know?
Yeah, but if we didn't go on Bench Creek, didn't ever see, get a letter, when we got this other letter for the Francis-Woodland area. And I questioned that then, never got a letter. Now I'm seeing that this is listed on my rights for there also. So
Okay.
what happened up on that Bench Creek and up through where Stewart Ranch and Diamond Bar Ranch and all that is.
Okay, and so I'm gonna repeat this for those online and for the recording. But the question was, this gentleman owns property in both of these subdivisions, and you said you only got notice for one of those and not for the other.
Correct.
Okay, so on the spot, I'm not sure why. We'd be happy to look into it and try to figure out what happened. That's the best I can give you right now. But that's also, I just want to point out, that's part of why we have these public meetings, and we try to send information to every landowner, and we do our final sums to try to make sure that everybody's included, because we do want everybody included. We want the public to participate.
I guess my thing, when I see this, if you say the Upper Provo River, where we didn't get notice to file that claim back in February, whatever it was, meeting and those claims. I questioned somebody and they said, well, we're not up that far yet. We're not doing that yet. I went ahead and filed some claims just in fear of this very thing. I've actually got a call from your office saying, do we want to come out and look for wetlands?
Okay.
So, what about my other ground, my other neighbors?
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's.
Need to check into that, I guess.
Yeah, and we'll stick around after we end the recording, and we're happy to look up whatever. I'd be here all night. But yeah, so he reiterated for those online. He reiterated that he's concerned that he owns property and was not noticed for that property in a different subdivision. Again, without knowing where that property is and looking at our records and our mailing lists, I'm not sure what the answer is, but more than happy to talk through it with you and look at it. Okay? Any other questions or anything online? Nothing online? You had one, sir?
I guess the question I have in regard to this letter that we need to file for objecting, what exactly are we objecting to? If I have a number, I've already filed on the numbers that associated with my property. So that part's done, but now what am I objecting to?
Okay, so the question is, if someone is to file an objection on the list of unclaimed rights, what is that objection? What are they objecting to? And so, and he said he's filed a claim already. So, if someone wants to file, or let me put it this way, if somebody looks at our list of unclaimed rights and sees a water right number on that list that they believe they either own or they are the predecessor in interest for that water right, if somebody thinks that there's a water right that can be claimed and as is in use on that list, that's what you're objecting to. You're saying, hey, I want to claim that water right. I'm using that water, so I'm objecting to the list to try to get it removed from the list so that we evaluate it and include it in the proposed determination later. Does that make sense?
The list you don't want is to say these water rights will not be considered before. So our goal is to get everything off this list so we can consider it on. If you have an old ancient water right that is not being used, that's what this list is designed to get rid of. You don't need to go look at this because whoever used it died 60 years ago.
Yes. Yes. So if there's a water right number that somebody believes that they are using and they have a claim to, and it is on that list, you want to file an objection to get it removed from that list. And we want you to file an objection to get it removed from that list. We want water that's being used to be claimed. And so, and we can help you through that as well, like I've said.
Well, the list that I personally have been looking at is that list. The water numbers that I believe belong to our property are on that list. I haven't filed a claim, so why am I still on the list of unclaimed rights if I filed a claim?
So the question is, he said he's filed a claim and he believes that he's still on that list. So kind of the same answer. Without us looking into it, you may have filed a claim on a different water right number. I'm not sure. I'm not saying you're mistaken. We may be mistaken. That's why we have these public meetings. So we're happy to look at it with you after this meeting and make sure that we've got it right. And if we don't, we'll help you through it, okay? All right. And then I'm going to go back here first, Amy. Go ahead, sir.
Are you sure the list of unclaimed rights? That's a complete list of this stuff for unclaimed rights. You show at least the owner of that unclaimed right on that list as well. Start with the state engineer's office, which is concerned, right? These are unclaimed rights. So these owners have not filed their notice of interest in connection with that property, even though they're listed. Is that why they're there? There's nobody specifically included the people who are allegedly, they haven't filed anything to claim that interest. Is that why it's an unclaimed interest?
Yes. So the question was, well, instead of rephrasing the question, I'll just expand on the answer. So yes, these water right numbers are on this list of unclaimed rights because we sent out notice to file claims and we did not receive any claims for these specific water right numbers. And so we've received a ton of claims. Most of them, like I said, have water right numbers on them. And so as we see that, we remove them from the list. Some of them don't have water right numbers on them, so we do a little more investigation and try to match them up to a right of record, or we will work with that individual, because sometimes people file claims on water rights that are not on our records. They're called diligence claims, and that's, if you're in that, so I don't get too off track, if somebody's in that boat, we'll talk you through that, because that's a lot to get into for this meeting. But yes, the short answer is yes, the water right numbers that are on this list are water right numbers that are on our records that we did not receive a claim for.
So is that all of them?
There were for the upper Provo River, there were no unclaimed rights in that subdivision. For Francis-Woodland, there were 16 out of hundreds that were unclaimed.
Do you have that list there?
Yes, we can pull it up. and show you. And these slides in this presentation has information as to how you can find that list. But we're happy to pull it up right here with you tonight. Okay, and then, sir?
You please explain book 15.
Book 15? Please explain book 15. Can you elaborate?
This means there's no payment on book 15 is not listed.
So yeah, book 15 is the Upper Provo River, and because the list of unclaimed rights, or because every water right on the state engineer's records had a claim filed on it, so there are no water rights on the list of unclaimed rights for that subdivision. Okay, and then Amy, some online?
Yeah, online, kind of like three separate ones, but they asked, will unclaimed rights be auctioned? And if it was associated with well, will the well permit go with it? And would it need diversion?
Okay, so yeah, three questions there. First question was, will the unclaimed rights be auctioned? And the answer is no. So the state, it's not like the state is saying, oh, this is unclaimed, so now we're going to sell it to the highest bidder. That's not how this works. What it is the basic idea of water law is if somebody's not putting water to beneficial use, water is a public good. So if somebody is not diligently putting water to a beneficial use, it should be available for somebody else who is. So what will happen with these, if there's no objection and no claim filed on these, then these water rights will remain on the list of unclaimed rights and will be decreed abandoned through a court. And keep in mind, there's a ton of rights that we have received claims for, and we will go out and investigate those. These, as Mike said earlier, most of these are in a situation where somebody filed an application with our office a long time ago, and that water just stopped being used. They didn't sell it to anybody. They didn't deed it to anybody. It just stopped being used. And so we're kind of cleaning up the record a little bit, if that makes sense. And that's why I keep repeating myself. If there's water being used out there, we want it to be claimed. We really do. That's why we're here. That's why we put forth so much effort to reach out to everybody and get the public involved. Okay, and yeah, that's right. This was a three-part question. Second question was?
Yeah, if the unclaimed right was associated with the well, would the well permit go with it?
Okay, so if the unclaimed right was associated with the well, would the well permit go with it? So the short answer to that, if one of these water rights is associated with a well, if that well is still in use, then whoever is using that should contact our office so we can investigate it further. And if it's being used, there are cases where a well will have multiple water rights in it. So somebody files a claim on the water that they are using, great. But if it's a case where there's a well and it's an existing well, it's being used, and the water right number associated with that well is on this list, contact us so that we can investigate further and help you file an objection, because the other side of that answer is yes. If there's a well with one of these water rights on it and a claim is not filed, the court will decree that water right is abandoned. And third part of that question?
Would it need diversion?
Would it need diversion approval? I'm not 100% sure I understand what they're asking, but basically, I'm going to try to answer it anyway. So when a water right is approved, or if there's a water right on record, that is what gives somebody legal authorization to divert water in accordance with that water right. So are there other questions before we end the recording? Like I said, if there's specific cases that people would like to discuss, their particular water rights, we're going to stick around as long as it takes to answer everybody's questions. But in terms of just general questions for the recording, if there are no more, we'll end the recording here. No more? Okay. Well then, thank you, those online. We're going to end the recording. If you have further questions, I'm going to end by putting this back up. If you have questions, reach out to us, and we're more than happy to help you.